Airports had a certain kind of chaos, one that single dad Ethan Miller had grown used to. But today felt different. Today, everything felt heavier. He held the tiny hand of his daughter, Lily, as they made their way through the crowded terminal. Her bunny-shaped backpack bounced against her legs, and her braids swung side to side. Her eyes shone with excitement, unaware of the weight pressing on her father's shoulders. "Daddy, are we really going to see Grandma?" she asked, skipping a little to keep up with him. "That's the plan, sweetheart," Ethan said with a smile he hoped looked real. "We're going to surprise her." He didn't tell her the real reason he'd scraped every last dollar for the trip, because his mother's health had been declining since last month, and the doctor's voice carried a seriousness he couldn't ignore. But Lily didn't need to know that. Not yet. They reached the gate just as the loudspeaker crackled with the final boarding announcement. "Flight 638 to Denver, final boarding call." Ethan approached the counter with a hopeful breath. "Hi, we're on standby, Ethan and Lily Miller." The gate agent typed quickly, then paused with a frown. "Sir, we only have one seat left." For a moment, Ethan felt like all the airport noise faded away. "One seat?" "Yes." The agent looked at him sympathetically. "It's a full flight. We can check again, but it really looks like just one." Lily hugged his leg, staring up at him with big, worried eyes. "Daddy, we can sit together, right?" Ethan's heart cracked. "I'm trying, baby." He turned back to the agent. "Can a child travel alone? Can you hold her until I get on the next flight?" The agent shook her head. "She's 5. She has to be with a parent or guardian." Ethan rubbed a hand over his face. "Is there any way at all?" A well-dressed woman in line behind him scoffed loudly. "People shouldn't bring their personal problems to the airport," she muttered. "Some of us planned ahead." Ethan ignored her. He only saw Lily's trembling lip. "Daddy," she whispered, "I don't want to go without you." He knelt, pulling her into a tight hug. "I know, sweetheart, I know." He wished he could shield her from everything, from fear, from disappointment, from the reality that their lives had never been easy since her mother left. But today, he felt more helpless than ever. The agent spoke again, quieter this time. "Sir, the flight is closing. If you want the seat, you have to board now." Lily clung to him. "Please don't leave me, Daddy." Ethan swallowed hard. "I'll never leave you, Lily. I promise. This is just, for a little while." Tears filled her eyes. "But I'm scared." Ethan felt his own eyes sting. He looked at the agent. "Put her on the next flight. With supervision. I'll take the seat." "Are you sure?" the agent asked. "No, not at all." But he nodded anyway. He stood, brushing Lily's cheek with his thumb. "I'll be right behind you, okay? Grandma will be waiting for you." "But I want you," she whispered. Her voice broke him, but he forced himself to step back. The agent came around the counter and gently took Lily's hand. "Come with me, sweetheart. We'll take good care of you." Ethan watched Lily walk away, turning back every few steps to look at him. He waved each time, his heart twisting tighter and tighter. When she finally disappeared behind the gate door, Ethan felt something inside him collapse. The boarding door beeped. "Sir, please board." He nodded numbly and walked down the jet bridge. Each step felt heavier. He kept seeing Lily's face, confused, scared, trusting him even when he didn't trust himself. Inside the plane, the air was cramped, stale with recycled oxygen and too many people. Ethan squeezed into his narrow middle seat between two strangers, barely fitting. His knees touched the seat in front of him. The overhead bins slammed shut. He tried to breathe. He tried not to think about Lily sitting alone with strangers. He tried not to think about how badly everything had gone wrong lately, losing his job, struggling to pay bills, the fear of failing his daughter. A flight attendant walked past, checking seatbelts. Ethan opened his mouth to ask if Lily was okay, but the words stuck in his throat. As the attendant moved forward, Ethan heard a soft, smooth voice from first class. "Excuse me." A woman, elegant, confident, early 40s, had stood up. Her dark hair fell in perfect waves over her shoulders, and her eyes held something powerful. Not irritation, not entitlement, purpose. The flight attendant leaned toward her. "Yes, ma'am." The woman pointed down the aisle, straight at Ethan. "That father," she said clearly. "Bring him to me." The cabin fell silent. Heads turned. Ethan blinked, stunned. "Me," he stuttered. The flight attendant looked between the woman and Ethan. Ma'am, is everything. I'm giving him my seat, the woman said firmly. Upgrade him. And fetch his daughter from the gate. Ethan stood halfway, shaking his head. Ma'am, I can't accept that. You don't even know me. She gave him a warm, steady smile. You don't need to earn kindness to deserve it. Ethan felt frozen. Passengers whispered. Some stared. Some smiled. The flight attendant nodded. Sir, please gather your things. Ethan rose slowly, hardly believing any of this was real. As he stepped into the aisle, the elegant woman spoke again, her voice gentle. No child should fly without her father. And no father should have to choose between a seat and his daughter. Ethan's throat tightened. Thank you, I don't know how to repay. You don't need to repay anything, she said. Just be with your little girl. Ethan swallowed hard. May I ask your name? She paused, then answered softly. Grace. Grace Carter. The name rang with quiet strength. As Ethan followed the attendant back toward the gate, Grace called after him. Tell your daughter she's flying with her hero. The words struck him deep. Ethan stepped back into the terminal, where Lily sat anxiously on a chair, swinging her legs and staring at the door. When she saw him, her face lit up brighter than any sunrise. Daddy! She ran to him, throwing her arms around his neck. Ethan held her tight, grateful beyond words. Someone he didn't know, had changed everything. And he had no idea yet just how much more this stranger would change the rest of their lives. The moment Ethan stepped back into the terminal with Lily in his arms, it felt like the world had shifted. Everything that had weighed on him, from the unpaid bills to his mother's health to the worry about failing his daughter, seemed to lift, just a little. Daddy, you came back. Lily laughed into his shoulder, her bunny backpack squished between them. I told you I'd never leave you, he whispered, kissing the top of her head. The gate agent smiled warmly at them. Mr. Miller, your tickets have been upgraded to first class. Courtesy of, well, your guardian angel, it seems. Ethan blinked. She paid for that. The agent nodded. Every cent. Ethan turned, half expecting Grace to be right behind him, but she wasn't in sight yet. He wanted to thank her properly, not just the rushed gratitude he managed on the plane. No one had ever done something so unexpectedly generous for him. Not since before Lily's mother walked out. Daddy, Lily tugged his sleeve. Can we sit together now? Like always. He knelt and held her shoulders gently. Yes, baby. We're flying together. Lily's smile was sunshine. Just then, the gate door opened. The elegant woman, Grace Carter, stepped out, suitcase in hand, heels clicking against the polished floor. People stared at her, recognizing her as the one who had given up her coveted seat. But Grace didn't seem to notice any of them. Her eyes were fixed on Ethan and the little girl holding onto him. Grace, Ethan said, standing with Lily balanced on his hip. I don't even know where to begin. Grace's face softened. She approached slowly, as if she didn't want to overwhelm them. Hi, Lily, she said gently. Lily blinked, then lifted her hand in a shy wave. Thank you for giving Daddy back. The innocence in her voice made Grace's eyes glisten. She knelt down to be on Lily's level. You're very welcome, sweetheart, she whispered. You deserve to fly with the person who loves you most. Lily hugged her without hesitation. Children always sensed kindness in people. Grace hugged back carefully, as if Lily were fragile glass. When she stood, her eyes were rimmed with tears she tried to hide. Ethan noticed. You didn't have to do that, he said quietly. Grace looked away, her voice barely above a whisper. I know. There was something in her tone, something heavy, something painful. Ethan didn't pry, but he sensed she carried a grief far deeper than someone who'd merely given up a luxurious seat. Before he could say more, the agent called again. First-class passengers, please prepare for boarding. Grace took a step back. You two should go ahead. Ethan hesitated. You're not getting back on. Grace shook her head. No, I changed my flight. He frowned. But, why? She inhaled slowly, gathering herself. Because I saw something today I hadn't seen in a long time, she said. A father willing to break in half for his child. And it reminded me of my own son. Ethan felt his breath catch. You mentioned earlier. Grace nodded, voice trembling. He died 3 years ago. He was 6. A quiet, fragile silence settled between them. Lily clutched her father's shirt, sensing the shift in mood. I'm so sorry, Ethan said, and he meant it with every cell in his body. Grace forced a smile, one that cracked at the edges. It was a car accident on our way to the airport. We never made the flight. I've avoided flying ever since. She looked away, blinking rapidly. Today was the first time I booked a flight in years. And then I saw you and Lily, and it felt like life was reminding me of something. What's that? Ethan asked softly. That love is worth the fear, she whispered. And kindness is worth giving. Her words wrapped around him like a warm blanket. You said you changed your flight, Ethan said carefully. Does that mean you're going somewhere else? Grace smiled faintly. No, not yet. I realized I wasn't ready to go today. Ethan didn't know what compelled him, gratitude, empathy, or something deeper, but he stepped closer. I know we're strangers, he said, but, if you're staying for a bit, would you like to join us? Maybe for coffee. It's the least I can offer. Lily nodded enthusiastically. Yes, come with us. Daddy never talks to anyone except Grandma and me. Grace's soft laugh cracked the sadness for a moment. She looked between the two of them, and something warm flickered in her eyes, something she thought she had lost. I'd like that, she said. They walked toward a cafe near the gate. Lily insisted on sitting between them, chattering about Grandma, school, and her bunny backpack. Grace listened with a smile that only grew softer with each passing minute. Ethan watched her quietly. She had an air of wealth, her clothes, her watch, her poise, but there was something surprisingly gentle beneath it all. Something bruised, yes, but also kind. Lily eventually asked, do you have any kids? Grace's lips parted, pain flickering across her face. Ethan opened his mouth to gently stop Lily. But Grace placed a hand on his arm. It's okay, she said softly. Then she turned to Lily. I had a little boy. His name was Caleb. Lily's eyes went wide. Where is he now? Grace inhaled, steadying herself. He's in heaven. Lily toddled over and hugged her again. My mommy's in heaven too. Maybe they're friends. Grace's breath hitched. Tears slipped down her cheeks, but this time, she didn't try to hide them. She held Lily close, as if the child was a bomb she never knew she needed. Ethan felt his heart twist at the sight. After a long moment, Grace wiped her tears and smiled at Lily. You're a very special girl. Lily beamed. Daddy says that too. I believe him, Grace whispered. When the boarding call echoed again, Ethan stood. We should head back. Grace nodded. Ethan picked up their bags and turned, but Lily tugged his hand. Daddy, can Miss Grace come on our plane? Grace laughed softly. Honey, I changed my ticket. I'm not flying today. Lily's face fell. But we just met you. Grace knelt again, brushing a braid behind Lily's ear. Some people you meet just for a moment, but they stay with you a long time. Ethan swallowed. Grace, thank you. Not just for the seat. For everything. She held his gaze. You don't need to thank me, Ethan. Just take care of her. I will, he said. And take care of yourself, she added gently. He smiled. I'll try. They walked toward the jet bridge. Grace stood watching them, hands clasped over her heart. Just before they disappeared onto the plane, Lily turned and waved with both hands. Bye, Miss Grace. I love you. Grace pressed a hand to her mouth. I love you too, sweetheart, she whispered. As the plane took off, Ethan glanced out the window, thinking of the mysterious woman who had changed their entire day, maybe even more than that. In miles below, standing alone in the terminal, Grace Carter watched the plane disappear into the clouds. Feeling, for the first time in years, that maybe, just maybe, her heart could heal after all.